The Orlando Magic. They've had a lot of talented players in their short time as a franchise, only being around 31 years. They have some of the best and most dominant big men in NBA history, starting with Shaquille O'Neal, who led them to the finals one time, but unfortunately fell short in 1995. Then in 2009, the Dwight Howard-led Magic went to the finals, but also fell short. They also had several talented players in between. Most notably, there's the Tracy McGrady and Grant Hill teams of the early 2000s, who never saw a lot of success on the court, but they definitely had an entertainment factor to them. But after that, there hasn't been a whole lot of success seen by this franchise. It's been 11 years since they've been out of the first round of the playoffs, and only 4 of those years did they make the playoffs at all. They've also only won at least 40 games once in that amount of time. So needless to say, we've got some serious work to do here in Orlando. But it's not all bad though. After years of being stuck in mediocrity with no real young talent, the Magic have a pretty nice crop of young guys. In 2019, they traded for Markelle Fultz for basically nothing, and he's been making a lot of progress in recovering his career. He's starting to look like a real NBA point guard now. They also have a very promising defensive player in Jonathan Isaac, who honestly projects to be a Defensive Player of the Year candidate in coming years if he can stay healthy. After that, there's a pretty big drop-off. Even Fultz isn't really projecting to be a star or anything. But Aaron Gordon is a pretty good defensive player himself, even if he hasn't really been much for the Magic offensively. He's also been rumored as being shopped around pretty aggressively the last couple of years. We'll have to see what we end up doing with him. Then last, but certainly not least, we've got Cole Anthony and Chuma Okeke. Cole Anthony, in my opinion, could be the steal of the 2020 draft with his talent level. We'll be paying very close attention to his development. As for Okeke, he's already a pretty solid defender, but his offensive game is pretty raw. But we don't just have young players here in Orlando. We have some pretty solid veterans. I haven't even mentioned the star of the show yet, Nikola Vucevic. He's one of the best offensive big men in the NBA, and he's not going anywhere. He's going to be our franchise centerpiece as of now, and unless we acquire a player who is better than him, that won't change, for better or for worse. We also have solid guys like Evan Fournier, who is a solid scorer for us. Same for Terrence Ross, who can be a great offensive player. Keyword can. Then there's Al-Farouq Aminu, James Ennis, and Mo Bamba. Mo Bamba is not a veteran, but he is the lost young player from the 2018 draft class. He was supposed to be a project player who has tremendous defensive upside. But our coach, Steve Clifford, has basically refused to play him any real minutes in the last few seasons. So right off the bat, he's a player we have to make a decision on, and somebody we have to be on the same page as our coach about. So despite being stuck in gear for about a decade now, it looks like we finally have a direction. But unfortunately, this season has been derailed by injuries, with Jonathan Isaac going out with a torn ACL in August, leaving him out for the entire next year. Then to join him, Markelle Fultz also tore his ACL only a few games into this season after looking like he was going to have a career year. People have also been in and out of the lineup, with Cole Anthony and Aaron Gordon also being out for quite some time as of late. And Cole Anthony will not be back until after the All-Star break at the very least. And Aaron Gordon is still struggling with a left ankle sprain. So despite some initial optimism going into this year, it looks like we're just going to be a big mess for the rest of the season, but it might not all be bad. Being as affected as we have been by injuries has kept us at the bottom of the Eastern Conference in what is considered a pretty stacked draft class. Even a top 5 draft pick would have us with a guy like Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, Jonathan Kuminga, and Jalen Suggs. It's quite possible that one of these guys could develop into the star that we need, because while Vucevic is great, I don't think a center can really lead you to a title in today's NBA, especially one who isn't good on the defensive end. So while injuries do suck, they may be a blessing in disguise in the long run. But we still have a little over half the season to go, and a few moves that we definitely need to consider before we do get to the NBA draft.